Om Shanakaya Gulshan, would you like to read the English, please?
I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisance unto him.
Jai. Okay, so we're continuing our reading. Last week, remember, we were reading the purple. Prabhupada gave the analogy of a determination and how the bird threatens the ocean to dry up the ocean if it didn't return its eggs. So Garuda, the bird carrier Vishnu, Garuda heard about the bird's situation and how determined it was, and decided to help the bird. It was in the same sort of species as a bird, and Garuda threatened the ocean. If you don't give my mate's eggs back, I'm going to deal to you. So then the ocean, returned the eggs to the bird. So Prabhupada gave that as an example, that story, how one should be determined. So that was chapter 6, text 24. That's last week's one. Chapter 6, text 24. So today's one is 25. Text 25, chapter 6. So we can read the Sanskrit. Shanai Uparamid.
Shanai Uparamid.
Buddhyadriti Grahitaya.
Buddhyadriti Grahitaya.
Atma Samstam Mana Kritva.
Atmanam Sandana Kritva.
Na kinchedapi chintayet.
Na kinchedapi chintayet.
Would anyone else like to have a go? Practice makes perfect. Not this time? Okay. Okay. Back to Bob. Would you like to read the translation, please?
Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction. And thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else.
Slowly, slowly. Shanai, shanai.
Yeah. So this is talking about how one can become a yogi. So it was mentioned in the previous verses, practice. So to become a yogi requires practice, and so it means some activities are required to become a yogi. And also, as mentioned here, it takes some time. It takes some time. We read it in the previous verse. It came up, the patience. Prabhupada talked about patience. So yeah, we're not going to get necessarily the best results, which are available in the yoga process, like straight away. Not necessarily going to get all the results straight away. You'll get some results straight away, but not all the results straight away. Like some of the results you'll get straight away. Can any of you think of some results you've got from practicing Bhakti Yoga straight away? Like
self-confidence.
Okay, self-confidence.
Don't feel like to eat meat.
Okay.
Because
detached from sense gratification.
Certainly peace.
Peace, okay.
Peace, yeah. I think you know, when you look around, I think you talk about gratitude and patience, and peace within yourself.
Okay, peace within
My
yourself.
only anxiety is that I can't learn quick enough.
That's a good anxiety. That's a very good anxiety. Keep that one, Bob. Don't let that go.
Thank you. And it's true. I mean it.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of anxiety is beneficial because it pushes us to go further. If you don't have that, then we become lazy, which is not good. So, yeah, that's good to have a bit of anxiety there. If there's absolutely no anxiety in us, then we'd be dead. It's the nature of a living being to have some anxiety. One time,
and sorry, Abhay, I was going to say also, I think you look at humanity in a different way. You know, the more you learn, the more you can see all the truths in the teachings. Does that make sense?
Yep. Good. Lots of nice realizations, Bob. That's great. I'm just going to shut the door. There's a bit of background noise. Okay, and Deepa's joined us. That's fantastic.
Deepa.
Hare Krishna.
Deepu,
Yeah, so it's mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion that there's two characteristics you get from bhakti straight away, and that's kleshagni, which means all the miseries are burnt up. So the miseries are burnt up. Why do we suffer miseries? Miseries come from what? Suffering. Why do we suffer? Suffering is a result.
From lust. From the senses. The lust from the senses.
Yeah.
desire is a cause of all suffering.
Okay.
From past karma?
Yeah. So if we engage in bad karma, the result of that is suffering. And what's the result of good karma? What's the reaction or result of good karma?
We see it in the soul searching class. That's the result.
Yeah, you're a real joker today, Gulshan.
It's true, yeah. If it's a bad karma, I wouldn't be sitting here, would I?
Yeah. No, that's true. And you know, if you do some soul searching, then the result of that is you'll be happy. So yeah, so the reaction to good karma is happiness, and the result of bad karma is suffering. And okay, so suffering comes from bad karma. And where does bad karma come from?
Do you mean from your there's three karmas?
Hang on, one at a time. I didn't quite hear that.
Go ahead.
Past life?
Yeah, I mean, but we do, like Bob mentioned, lusty things. You know, he mentioned lust, so some bad karma. That's bad karma to engage in lust, and like, you know, sex, drugs, rock and roll, eat, drink, and be merry. So that's, you know, bad karma, very lusty, trying to gratify the senses more than what they really need. So
Karma comes from our choices.
okay, choices, you know, and so we've made basically wrong choices. So why do we make wrong choices?
Through ignorance.
Yes, you're on fire today, Bob. That's
I'm on fire again.
again. That's great. Yeah.
Who said that you're a slow learner?
So that's the thing, because Bob and you all have been, you know, practicing Bhakti Yoga for quite some time, you're starting to get some results, becoming enlightened, more knowledge, you know, becoming enlightened. That's great. And that's really good. So yeah, ignorance. This is the original cause of suffering, is ignorance. So what brought me to that point? I'm just wondering why I was starting to talk about that. It was what was
Had
I?
anything to do with this? Just the intelligence sustained by full conviction.
Oh, no, I remember. Yeah, I was saying two characteristics mentioned in Nectar Devotion. One is that the sufferings are burnt up, and the other, yeah, so that's one. So suffering comes from ignorance. So when you take to the yoga process, you stop the cause, the sources of suffering, which is bad karma. You stop, right? Like when you first join the Hare Krishnas, immediately you stop, as Gulshan mentioned, stop meat eating and stop intoxication, illicit sex and gambling. And these are all bad karma. All these activities are bad karma. And all those four things, by engaging in them, causes suffering. So imagine there's a fan spinning and you pull out the plug. Does the fan stop straight away?
No.
No. But what does happen straight away?
It slows down.
It slows down, yeah. So when you join the Hare Krishnas, it's like you pulled the plug out. It starts the suffering you're getting from bad karma starts to reduce straight away because you pulled it out. No more input of bad karma. So it starts to slow down. It doesn't immediately stop completely, like the fan, right? It takes some time. So you've still got reactions from before, even in previous lives. However, if we surrender to Krishna, then he says in the end of the 18th chapter, text 66, that if you surrender to me, I'll deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Savadama Prachaja. That's 1866. That's the surrender verse of Bhagavad Gita. So it may appear, though, that a surrendered devotee is still suffering, but Krishna said he'll deliver us from all of our suffering. So how is it that a devotee still seems to be suffering then? Is that ordinary suffering a devotee experiences which is due to bad karma, or is that something else? That's the million-dollar question.
Are you talking about if he deviates from the teachings, or?
Deviate from the teachings, then definitely you're going to get some reaction for that, and you're going to have to suffer. But if you're following, if you've stopped committing sins from that day, you've got a clean slate. But if you undergo some suffering after that, then why? So even though we've surrendered to Krishna, we've stopped committing sinful activities, and we're engaging in devotional service, but still we might have some residue of contamination in our consciousness.
That's in our memory.
Yeah. Well, yeah. We're so conditioned.
Yeah, it's very deep computer. Like, the memory is like, ordinary computer must have how many gigabyte on this, but this one, the Krishna made it. It's just tremendous memory. If you remember, like, you still remember your teenager days and everything what you done. If you feel like you can, it's flashback within a second.
Yeah.
Time and a memory.
Yeah. So in our consciousness, there's still a bit of junk, from the past, our habits and everything. You might have stopped externally doing crazy stuff, but still in the heart, there's still impurities.
Hard drive is still there. Yeah.
Yeah, lust, greed, and anger, and envy, and some of the pride, and so forth. So, Krishna may use our what seems to be karmic reactions, use them to further purify the devotee, by administering something that appears to be suffering, but it's not actually due to bad karma, but it's due to Krishna himself giving it to us as like a way to purify us. And that's actually his kindness, his mercy. We get some kind of put in some difficult situation to further purify us, to make us more sincere, more serious, to make us give up sense gratification, mental speculation, all these kind of things. That Krishna's personally, it's Krishna's personal exchange with the devotee. So it's not just bad karma. Because if we're a genuine devotee and we're surrendered and we're not doing any bad karma anymore, then it's not ordinary suffering, but it's Krishna's special mercy. Like Krishna says in the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam that Yasyaham anugrahami hirshya taddanam shanoi tato danam chajachasya swajana dukha dukhatam, which means that showing my devotees special mercy, I take away all of his wealth. And at that point, his family members leave him. And he experiences one misery after another. One Indian man asked Prabhupada once in a class, I want to make rapid spiritual advancement. Is there any like fast track? I want some special mercy. And then Prabhupada quoted that verse that if you want Krishna's special mercy is that he takes away all your money, your family to get lost, kick you out, and you experience one misery after another. And so the Prabhupada said, so do you want the special mercy? And the man said, no, I'll go through the slow process.
It might not be choice. If Krishna sees him as worthy of it, he'll just give it, wouldn't he?
Yeah. So that person that experiences one misery after another, why is that mercy?
Because he's got nothing left to surrender to Krishna, because
just fully to Krishna. There's no other shelter.
That's right.
All the other shelters taken away, because we thought the money was shelter, right? If I have money, I'll be happy. If I have nice, family, I'll be happy. Nice kids, nice wife, and surrounded by family members, I'll be happy. So Krishna takes away all those other things, then there's no other shelter other than Krishna. So sometimes we see that kind of thing happens, but we shouldn't think that's just necessarily just bad karma. It can be Krishna personally trying to help the devotee to cut off any unfavorable attachments, any bad attachments like that, any things that are like obstacles stopping us from, surrendering to Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. Of course, that's not everyone's experience that happens, but sometimes, mainly it's that Krishna will take away anything that's not good for us. If it's not that the money is bad for us or family is not bad for us or whatever, Krishna's not going to take it away. But if something's bad for us, if something's entangling us more, then Krishna may take it away. And that's what his name Hari means. One of Krishna's names is Hari, Hari. And Hari means takes away. But don't be afraid of that Krishna can take away. Because he only takes away things that are bad for us. He takes away the real causes of our suffering. He doesn't take away things that are good for us, things that are going to...
It doesn't give the things that which is we not beneficial there. Like, if I want something and if I don't get it, it means it's not good for me. That's why Krishna did give.
Yeah. So if you didn't get to be a millionaire, Gulshan, don't worry about it, because obviously Krishna didn't want you to.
No, I was thinking a beautiful wife. I didn't get it, so it means Krishna saying that I don't need it. Answer is no. So I understand.
Yeah. It's said in the scriptures, a beautiful wife is your enemy, is the enemy of the husband. Because why do you think? Why is a beautiful wife the enemy for the husband?
Because the husband, the friends are getting, number of friends getting increase and increase.
Yeah, there'll be so many men trying to do her. And then he'll have to spend so much effort to just fight off.
If I had a beautiful wife, I said to my friends, might have it. Thank you. Then I'll do the japa.
Yeah, so one's going to be, diverted by so much hard work, just trying to maintain that kind of situation. So yeah, Krishna's very kind to the devotees. He knows what's good for us better than what we do. We think we know what's good for us, but sometimes we don't actually know what's good for us.
Sometimes, all the time. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So yeah, that's something that happens straight away, and as we take to Bhakti Yoga, the suffering gets burnt up, and also it's mentioned Shubhadat means it gives auspiciousness. Many good things start to happen in our life. Like you meet really good people, isn't it? You meet devotees, really good people. You're associating. You've got nice people to associate, real gentlemen, gentle ladies, and in a good environment, beautiful temples and farms, and just nice things, in a nice environment.
Prasadam every day.
Nice food,
prasadam.
yeah, good food, good music, isn't it? Kirtan, Friday night kirtan, good music.
Soul searching class.
Yeah, soul searching, it's good philosophy. So a lot of good things start to happen in life.
Bhakti Mala's cake.
Bhakti Mala's cake, yeah. And good things may happen to your health, and like Bob mentioned, peace, you become peaceful, become more healthy, feel more happy, so a lot of very auspicious. Shubha means auspicious, so which means like good. So many, many good things start to happen. Nice relationships, you may develop that, and, friends or family like that may develop nicely, good things start to happen. So yeah, but the ultimate results, like love of God, because that's the real goal of life, Krishna Prema, love of God, that result, you have to wait some time for that usually. Usually that doesn't come straight away. Straight away you feel like the distress has gone down, and straight away you feel like, wow, there's a lot of good things happening, that goes up. But you don't straight away get, tears coming sideways out of your eyes. Has anyone...
It's not going to happen that love at the first sight. No.
That's it.
It's not happen like a love in the first sight. Not that. Prema, bhakti. It doesn't happen straight away like that.
Oh, come on, Gulshan. You're in complete illusion if you think love at first sight exists.
Yes, sometimes it does.
There is lust at first sight, definitely. Cupid fires his arrow, and then it's lust at first sight.
Indra.
But if it's love at first sight, Gulshan, then why is it after 6 months?
It's a divorce at the second sight.
I hate you. I never want to see your face again. I'm going to call the police if you come within 100 meters.
That's right.
So it was just lust, And of course, when lust is not satisfied, it turns to anger. So we know it's lust, because if anger comes, it must have been lust, because it's what anger is. frustration of lust like that. So real love takes time. As I've explained, that story, remember, about Indian arranged marriages, how they never even met each other before, and then so there was no love because it didn't even, how could there be any attraction when you didn't even know the person? And then, but they just dutifully do their duties. Husband and wife does their duties over many years. And then if the husband dies first, when his body's being burnt, the wife would jump in the fire, you know. And so that's love, you know. She's feeling so much separation from her husband that the fire in her
Well,
heart.
that's material love. You know, if it's love to Krishna, it shouldn't be. It's a material love.
It's an example, though, of
Oh,
being attached, because love indicates that there's attachment there. There's attachment. You have attachment to some object, so that's an indication that how by doing your duty, like gradually, then love develops. Just like this verse is saying, gradually, step by step. So you're just doing your duty. What are you doing gradually? What is your step by step? You're doing different duties, isn't it? Like in our case, it's chanting Hare Krishna and avoiding sinful activities, or cleaning the temple, cooking for Krishna, making garlands, managing a restaurant like that, doing the accounts for the temple or whatever, baking cakes or whatever like that. So step by step, you're doing all these things. And then slowly, what's going to happen is that our heart's going to become attracted to Krishna. Our heart's going to become attracted to Krishna, and we're going to do, our faith will grow in Krishna more and more, and Krishna will be pleased by our service and give us knowledge. So Krishna, when he's pleased by our services that we're doing gradually, then he's going to take up cleaning our heart. As it says, you know, if you want to look, chapter 10, text number 10, and then the following one, 11. These are two of the 4 seed verses of Bhagavad Gita, very important verses.
Did you say 10:10?
yeah,
Yeah.
Tintin.
Easy to remember, 10:10.
Remember the comic Tintin?
Yep, 10:10.
Will it take more than one life?
Well, that depends, like on what it's saying in the section, how determined you are. Are you determined, Gulshan?
Not fully.
Okay, who wants to read it? Who's found it? 10:10.
To those who are, sorry.
Found
To serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me.
So once you dedicate yourself and you're serving Krishna daily, gradually, step by step, with some love, whatever love you have, then he's going to enlighten you in your heart. He's going to give you the understanding. The next verse continues that further. Next verse.
To show them a special mercy, are dwelling in their hearts, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness formed ignorance.
Yeah, so 2 things are going on. You're doing your services, you're chanting, you're doing some practical services with your body and so forth. And then from Krishna's side, he's cleaning the ignorance, the darkness of ignorance out of your heart. He's enlightening you with light of knowledge in your heart. So that's what's going on gradually. And you might not notice it, but slowly your heart's getting purified. There's less ignorance in your life and more knowledge in your life. Have you noticed that if you look back at what you were like before and now, it seems like that a lot of the ignorance has gone away?
I do.
Knowledge?
I do.
Yeah.
It's a good sign. It's a good sign. And it happens gradually. It's not necessarily like it's going to be like a thunderbolt, you know, in front of your face and you're enlightened in one day. But just gradually, Krishna's cleaning your heart as every day you're chanting. Like it said, Lord Chaitanya in his 8 verses, Shikshastaka, first part says, Chaito Dapanam Ajanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, Shraya Kairava Chandrika Avataranam Vijavaru Jivanam, Anandam Bodhivadanam Paripadam Punamridaswadanam, Savatmasna Paramparam Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So by the chanting process, the first thing it's mentioned is it cleanses the mirror of the mind. Chaito Dapana Marjanam. The mind is compared to a mirror. Because what do you use a mirror for?
To look at your reflection.
Yeah, to see yourself. Yeah, look at your reflection to see yourself. But if it's covered with dust, can you see yourself?
No.
But if you clean the dust,
Not
then
well.
not well. But if you clean the dust off the mirror, then you see who you are, right? You see yourself. So like that, in ignorance, we don't know who we are. But when we think we're the body, we've forgotten that we're the soul. But when you chant, you can realize that you are the soul. You can realize you're the soul, you're the servant of Krishna, that you're not the body. So that realization comes from chanting Hare Krishna. I was trying to explain to my father that that within the body is the soul. And he wrote me an email the next day and said, I had such a headache after what you said, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep with a headache because he doesn't chant Hare Krishna. He doesn't chant Hare Krishna. He can't understand. I mean, he's an intelligent man. I mean, he's got degrees and he's the engineer. He had an engineering business. He's had many businesses. He built his own house, for God's sake. He built a beautiful house himself. I mean, he's not stupid. But he couldn't understand just the first thing, which is that within the body there is an eternal soul, and consciousness comes from the soul.
He's not the only one. Plenty people, 90% people on the planet don't understand.
I know, because they don't chant Hare Krishna. But if you chant Hare Krishna, then it becomes easy. It's like, of course you're a soul. It becomes obvious. You know, you can understand it very easily. But it's not automatic. You know, we're only able to understand these things, which we take it as like just ABCs. It's all easy stuff. Because we chant Hare Krishna. Because we chant Hare Krishna, then Krishna's giving us so much access to things that no one else can understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Abhi Prabhu, can I ask a question, or what you think of this? Is the more I try to be as consistent as possible and doing as much as I can, or even more if I can, and I'm finding that then there are challenges thrown in the way, like that, and it makes it difficult to even keep to that, or and continue, or things like that. I mean, like it becomes hard sometimes to, I mean, I'm just wondering about that though, like the challenges that when you're when you are consistent for a while and doing properly, and then suddenly it becomes very hard to even keep to that.
You're not alone. You're not alone. This is a common phenomena. That's the nature of the material world, is obstacles, especially in Kali Yuga. There's one verse saying that in Kali Yuga is spiked, the path of bhakti is spiked with millions of thorny obstacles. There's a verse saying like that. Yeah, that's it. Kala Kali Balinandre Varivaga Sri Bhakti Marga Iyakantika Kodi Rudha. So it's saying that In Kali Yuga, the senses are very formidable, very strong in Kali Yuga. And then it says the beautiful path of bhakti, Sri Bhakti Marga, the beautiful path of bhakti is spiked with millions of thorny obstacles. Iha, Kantaka, Koti, Rudha. You know, thousands of, Koti means thousands of millions, you know, so of thorns and obstacles like that. So it's not surprising. There is going to be obstacles. See, one of Maya's jobs and her job description she's got from Krishna is she has to test. She has to put to the test anyone that tries to get out of the material world and just make sure that they're what do you call it? The real McCoy? That they're the real thing. Isn't that what in Australia do they say that? The real McCoy? You know?
Sure.
Oh,
Popular saying. It used to be a popular saying.
Yeah, so not just some fake fake product can slip through the door into the spiritual world. No, Maya's going to test you. And so you could see it as Maya's test, or you could see it as Krishna's test. Either way, it's the same thing because Maya is working for Krishna. So whether you see it as Krishna's test or Maya's test doesn't matter. But you will, all of us will be tested. All of us will be tested. And the more advanced we become in bhakti, the bigger the tests get. So, but it's all, what do you call it, relative, right? When you're at primer 1, you have primer 1 size test. Then you're primer 2, and the test is primer 2 test, like that. So as you get elevated more in your education, the tests go higher. But you don't get a postgraduate test when you're at standard 1, do you? And when you're at postgraduate level, you don't get a primer 1 test, do you? No, so it's going to be relative to what level you are. So sometimes as you progress more and more, you might notice bigger and bigger obstacles, you know, coming your way sometimes. And but we shouldn't be worried about that. We should expect it. We should expect it. We should know about it, and we should see it as this is helping me to progress. Just like at school, right? You should see the tests in a positive way. I mean, I hate tests. Oh, tests suck. You know, who wants a test? You know, but no, we should see it in a positive way. That otherwise, we're not going to learn anything. If there was no tests, you know, we would never have learned anything at school. You know, we just stuff around and everything like that, and like that. So the tests, you know, help us to progress. Does that make sense, Deepa?
yeah. Any tips on how to overcome this, you know, challenges? For instance, it's sometimes it's just too much.
Actually, Narendra quoted it last Saturday. So go to 18th chapter, text 58.
1858.
I was very happy when he said that verse because it's one of my personal favorites to help me not get overwhelmed when I'm going through some obstacle.
1858, you said,
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
you?
Hey, Bob, give it a read.
Sorry?
Have you got it?
Yep.
Hey,
Yep.
read it.
As it says, in all activities, just depend upon me.
No,
And
no,
not that one?
no, 58.
If you become conscious
Oh,
of me,
sorry.
you will pass over all the obstacle and condition life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be get lost.
Okay, so there you have it from the horse's mouth. Does it say that there won't be any obstacles?
Mm-mm.
No, it's saying you'll overcome all obstacles. So there will be obstacles, but you'll overcome all of them. Not some of them, but you'll overcome all of them. However, whether there's 5, 10, 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, but you'll overcome all of them if, what's the if? If you're
Mm.
What's the if? What's the qualification for getting over the obstacles? What qualification do you have to overcome all the obstacles?
To be conscious of Krishna.
You have to be Krishna conscious. You have to be Krishna conscious.
And just think that you're not a doer.
Mm.
Only problem is that when you think you're a doer.
So that's the false ego. So that's what's saying then. And the opposite to that is of being Krishna conscious is to be in your false ego. Krishna conscious means that, Krishna's my master, I'm his servant, I have to, try to please him. And the opposite to that is, I'm the body, I'm the Lord, I'm the enjoyer, everything like that, I'm doing everything like that. So if you act in that consciousness, then you won't pass over the obstacles. So the obstacles are going to be the same. The obstacles are there for everyone. But if you're Krishna conscious, you pass over the obstacles. If you're not Krishna conscious, which means you're in false ego, then you don't pass over them. So don't think, oh my God, if I become Krishna conscious, there's going to be a lot of obstacles. I think I won't be Krishna conscious. I'll just stay in Maya. No, if you're in Maya, then there are going to be obstacles too. But the difference is you won't pass over them. So there's no escape from obstacles. There's no escape. If you're a devotee, there's going to be obstacles. If you're a non-devotee, there's going to be obstacles. But the difference is that if you're a devotee, you can pass over them. If you're not a devotee,
it's like it's like you have a skydiving.
Yeah.
If you're a devotee, you got a parachute. If you're not a devotee, no parachute. both case you dive, isn't it?
Maybe if you're a devotee, you wouldn't waste your time skydiving, and then you would.
I'm just giving an example. You got a parachute because of Krishna, and if you're not devotee, there's no parachute. You'll die.
Yeah.
Dive is there.
Yeah.
But, you got it, Deepa?
So and to help us cross over the obstacles, I mean, the best thing we can do is chant Hare Krishna, because that's actually the incarnation of Krishna in Kali Yuga. What is it? Kale Krishna Nama Avatar. Kale Rupa Krishna Nama Avatar. That in Kali Yuga, the form of the incarnation of the Lord, the form of the Lord is the holy name. Nama Rupa Avatar. So Krishna has descended to the material world in Kali Yuga in the form of his name. So when you chant Hare Krishna, you're actually with Krishna. Krishna's with you. So that's the best possible way to get the necessary strength and protection and purity and everything to overcome whatever obstacles are there, is to chant Hare Krishna. That's the best possible thing. And I know just in the last week, a couple of Prabhupada disciples passed away. They died. And both of them, do you know what was the last thing they said when they took their last breath? You know what both of them said?
Hare Krishna?
Yeah, they both said Krishna. So I mean, they're passed over. That's the final obstacle. That's the final obstacle, the time of death. And if you get Krishna coming out of your mouth at the time of your death, that means home and hosed, mate. You're home and hosed. You've got your passport and visa stamped for the spiritual world, and you're on your way. And there's no coming back.
One-way ticket to Krishna Loka.
Like Gulshan goes to America and then comes back. Once you go to the spiritual world, there's no coming back. It's a one-way ticket because it's so good. Why would you come back? This is like a latrine. This is like a latrine.
Miserable world. Misery is here. Why would I come back? Nobody.
And
That's the thing that boggles my mind, that we actually were there and we came. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
You know why did we came, Deepa? Because we feel like we equal to Krishna. That's why we came.
Well, we wanted to take Krishna's position. We wanted.
That's right.
We wanted
That's
to
why we came.
enjoy her.
Krishna said, we'll teach you a lesson. Go there. We learned the lesson.
God.
I don't want to be anymore.
So yeah, be
Oh.
careful what you want. Be careful what
That's
you desire. Be careful what you want.
Why are you crying, Deepa?
I'm not. My eyes tearing a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, so chanting is one of the best ways to help overcome whatever obstacles are there. Of course, death is the ultimate one, and even chanting can help us overcome that. So, and also devotee association is very important. Association. So try to have good association will help us to overcome the obstacles.
Yeah, you have to come to Bhakti Tree more and more often, Deepa. Association.
Yeah.
And Abhay,
Yeah.
Abhay.
Yeah.
And also I would think that as you become more spiritually mature, the hurdles aren't quite so high.
Well, like I said, actually the hurdles can be put up more higher, but your capacity to jump over the hurdle is also increased. You know, so
If you're more spiritual, you say, bring it on.
there's other reasons too why devotees have to go through some hurdles. I mean, like Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks, even on the ship over to America. Does he need to suffer? You know, because of past bad karma or something, or why does Krishna put suffering in his path?
He wasn't suffering, Krishna was testing him.
But no, that's the thing. You know, he's already a pure devotee. I mean, you don't need to test the pure devotee. It's actually explained there's a different reason why he had to go through that suffering and those things that look like tests, was that Krishna wants to show everyone else how exalted he is.
Oh.
That he went through so much to save who?
America,
To
us.
save, everyone's waving their
God.
hand, to save all us Aussies and crazy Kiwis and you know, crazy Yanks and Brits and everyone else, you know. So he went through, and then we become inspired that, wow, he went through all that from me. Well, maybe I should go through a bit, you know, for him, you know, and I'll go through a bit of suffering, you know, to help Krishna Consciousness movement, or yeah.
Oh no, that's like Jesus as well, isn't it? That's yeah, that's what Jesus as well, gave for everyone. That's what they said. That's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, people are inspired by Jesus after 2,000 years. I mean, because of all the suffering he went through to save them from their sins and everything like that. So, yeah, it's inspiring for us. It's not that they need to go through any bad karma or anything like that, suffering, but it's very attractive to see someone, you know, make so many sacrifices, perform so many austerities, just to rescue the miserable conditioned souls like that. So there's different reasons why we have to go through the hurdles, but hurdles are going to be there, and we should know that. We should know that. And there's a saying that an easy life and spiritual advancement do not go well together. Isn't it?
And that's not hard to work out, Abhay. You know, if people that have been through tough times and they've learned all the mistakes they've made, it's obviously got to give you more wisdom, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You've got to have more understanding, more patience.
What effect would you say that going through difficult times has on the quality of our chanting, for example?
Actually,
a
the
huge
time is better for chanting. If you are happy, harder. Like if I'm, when I was sick, I was chanting was good, man, compared to now, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. So it's said like that there's a difference in quality of chanting between a person that's chanting in material comfort and a person that's chanting, in a very difficult situation. So it's the quality that changes. There's a higher quality when you're being put through some hurdles. Then you like crying out. I mean, how did Prabhupada say that we should chant? He said you should chant like a child crying for the mother. We all know what that's like, right?
Yeah.
Mommy, help me, save me, mommy. I'm in a public place, so I don't want to scream out too loud. But
Hey, Prabhu, I also think it changes your relationship with your japa as well, because when you're really distressed and you can chant, you realize the gift of it, and that you're thankful to have that connection with Krishna as well. Then I think that that gratitude and everything, that it might be heightened when you're really distressed, and you can find that relief in that by chanting as well. It sort of changes how you.
That's why the Kunti said that keep me all time in suffering to Krishna. Because
Definitely not that advanced. I wouldn't say please keep me in distress at all, but I know that happens to me when I'm distressed.
But you don't, by the way, you don't have to pray for suffering in Kali Yuga, because there's already plenty.
it's already there.
You could pray for other things. Don't need to pray for that. Actually, what we should pray, Prabhupada said, is the best prayer. Do you want to know what the best prayer is?
Sure.
Yes.
No.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says in one purport in the 4th canto, he said the best prayer is to pray for the association of devotees. Because if you have the association of devotees, guaranteed your Krishna consciousness is going to go well. You're going to be remembering Krishna. Because when you're with devotees means, well, what do devotees talk about? They talk about Krishna.
Not really. In the farm, they talk about WhatsApp and Facebook.
Huh?
Well, then they're not very high level.
They're not true devotee.
Not very high level, but
No.
I mean, still some kind of devotee. I mean, there must be some. I mean, I still see they dress the deities so beautifully. And,
Oh yes, that's for sure.
it's nice prasadam. So you get nice kirtans, nice prasadam, everything. Some devotees anyway, you'll get some nice talks about Krishna. And but also we all have Prabhupada's books, and even on the internet or in physical books. And then if you have those books, you're associated with Prabhupada. I mean, you can't get better association than that. You got the association of, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, you can associate with Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhisthira Maharaj, Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, of course, like that. So you can associate with these great personalities by reading the books, by hearing from them like that. So we've got so much shelter actually to help us overcome all these difficulties. Anyone that says, oh, I'm alone, I'm all alone, is not really very Krishna conscious, because actually we're never alone. We've got so much within us. We've got the super soul. I mean, that's fantastic association. God's with you in your heart. I mean, how can we be alone? Even if you're that's actually explained in the beginning of the 16th chapter in one purport. Prabhupada said the sannyasi is fearless, even in the forest. He doesn't feel alone because he knows the super soul is with him at all times like that. So when we have that Krishna consciousness, then Krishna's with us in our heart. Plus also we've got the books, these great personalities with us in the form of their words. And then physically sometimes we can meet with devotees like that. So we're never alone. I tell you what, in the first canto of Bhagavatam, when Krishna left this world 5,000 years ago, what kind of effect do you think that had on Arjuna? Because Krishna left, Arjuna was still living. Krishna didn't leave in the Battle of Kurukshetra. They both lived through that. And a few years after that, Krishna left. And
Arjuna must be shattered.
he was completely shattered. He was his best friend, his best friend left, Krishna left, who's God.
And especially in the tough time of the war with him all the time.
Yeah, so he was completely shattered. It said that he was so shattered. You can't even express in words how shattered he was. But because he's got so much attachment for Krishna, so much love for Krishna. But he overcame that mental disturbance due to Krishna's departure by doing what?
Chanting. I don't know.
That could do it, but it's not what's mentioned.
Okay.
Spreading the word.
That could do it too, but it's not what's mentioned. It said he remembered the words that Krishna had instructed him.
Oh, okay.
And he said as soon as he did that, when he remembered Krishna's instructions to him, then it was said all the trash in his thoughts subsided. Can you all say that after me? All the trash.
All the trash
In his thoughts.
In his thoughts.
Subsided. Isn't that nice?
Mm.
We can all get that when we go through our disturbances. If we remember Krishna's words and here in the Bhagavad Gita.
I would imagine all your fears would go as well.
Yeah.
Knowing that Krishna's there waiting for you. What a wonderful thought.
Yeah.
Fearlessness. Like, when you are about to anything happen there, trouble situation, Krishna will come. That's it.
Yeah.
No matter what. It's like, I don't really care about any ghosts and things. Let them come. They're also Krishna's energy.
Yeah.
I will chant and then die.
Yeah. And the amazing thing is, as soon as you remember Krishna's words, then who are you associating with?
Krishna.
So it means Krishna's present. So then he hasn't died. He hasn't gone away. He's with you as long as you remember him. Either remember his names or remember his instructions, remember his pastimes, then he's present. And it said that the Lord is absolute. What that means is there's no difference between the person Krishna and the name Krishna and the form Krishna, the qualities of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna. It's all one. It's all absolute. So the remembrance of Krishna's words and his name and his pastimes means you're actually associating with Krishna. And I felt that sometimes, like when I'm chanting or doing some service, I felt like Krishna's with me. And I've felt sometimes also that Prabhupada's with me when I've been intensely doing service. So you can actually experience that the person becomes present by you thinking about them, by you remembering them. So that's what we're trying to do in this process of bhakti, is to always think of Krishna. So that surrender verse was 1866. So before that, 1865, Krishna says, always think of me. Always think of me. He says 4 things. He says, always think of me. He says, become my devotee. Worship me and offer your obeisances to me. Manmana bhava madbhakto mam yaji mam naraskaru mam avaishyasi satyam te pradijino priyosime. And it says, if you do those 4 things, it says, I promise you will come back to me because you're very dear to me. So this is the practice of bhakti yoga. This is what we're supposed to be practicing gradually, step by step, especially these 4 things. This is what I heard a lecture Prabhupada said. Krishna consciousness means thinking of Krishna, becoming Krishna's devotee, worshipping Krishna, and offering obeisances to Krishna. This is Krishna consciousness. But there's many statements Prabhupada said about what Krishna consciousness means. So there's so many different angles, and so many, it's unlimited, really. It's beautiful. But this is one thing about what Krishna consciousness means, that we're always doing these 4 things. So this is what our gradual practice is. We're practicing to think of Krishna, practicing to become a devotee, to practicing to worship, practicing to offer obeisances, isn't it? When you're bowing your head on the ground, that's part of your practice. That's your practice of bhakti, of developing your devotion to Krishna, of developing humility. That's what we've been reading in Ishopanishad. The first process of knowledge is humility. So that's real knowledge, that I'm very small and God is very great. Just like in the Muslim tradition, they recognize that Allah is, God is great and we are very small. So that's part of our practice. That's why we bow our head on the ground. Just like Muslims bow down 5 times a day. So we also should be bowing down many times in the day. In a temple, we do it every time we go in and out of the temple. And like that, originally, when Prabhupada set up the movement like that, because he spoke about the importance of bowing down to Krishna, obviously, but also to the devotees. So anytime a devotee saw another devotee, he would bow down. We're a bit slack on that these days. But originally, like if you saw a sannyasi, immediately you bow down. There's no question about that. You see a sannyasi, immediately you bow down. But even any devotee, especially the first time you see them in the day, you should bow down. That's part of the practice of bhakti yoga, especially the first time. It's part of the morning program that Prabhupada set up. There's one part right at the end of the morning program, so after Mangalarati, after Tulsi prayers, Nrsingadev prayers, we say a few things, and then we say, now let us take this opportunity to offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they're full of compassion on the fallen conditioned souls. And then everyone bows their head on the ground and says, Vanshakalpa Tuvascha, Kripa Sindhuvyavacha, Patidinam Pavanibhyo, Vaishnavyo, Namo Namaha. So Prabhupada did that, like he condensed that part of the program so that every day we bow down. So that's part of our practice. So if you like, this chapter is talking about jnana yoga or Astanga yoga, so they've got different practices, but the same sort of principles is there. It's helping us to connect with God. That's why it's yoga. Yoga means to connect with God, whether it's Astanga yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, buddhi yoga, bhakti yoga. It's different processes to connect with God. So But the basic principles are the same, that we're connecting with God. How are you going to do that? Okay, so if you practice this kind of yoga, there'll be a different practice. And if you do this kind of yoga, there'll be a different practice. But it's the same point, to bring us towards God, to bring us closer to God. But whatever our yoga practice, getting back to the verse today, 6th chapter, text 25, so you're practicing it step by step. You have to have full faith. That's what's saying here, full conviction. Full conviction. So you have driti grahitaya, means full conviction. So that means like fully faithful. You should strongly believe in Krishna's words and have full faith in the spiritual master's words, and be very convinced. Don't have doubts. We shouldn't have any doubts. I'm not really sure if Krishna really exists. I'm not really sure. Are we really a soul? It sort of seems like we're the body. Like that, if you're sort of half-hearted and you haven't really developed some kind of firm faith there, then it's hard to progress. So you should be. So we're not talking about blind faith. Blind faith is not good. But based on knowledge, we have strong faith based on knowledge. I mean, we like the highest authority here. This is very authorized. Prabhupada said this Hare Krishna movement is very authorized because it's based on Bhagavad Gita. So you've got the greatest authority here. It has spoken, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's been read for 5,000 years. And even before that, this knowledge was passed down orally by word of mouth since the beginning of the universe. So it's not a new thing. No one just thought it up or whatever. This is very scientific knowledge from the highest authorities. So once we understand that, we should believe in it. We should have faith in it. We shouldn't doubt it. If we're a doubting soul, Krishna says that one verse in Bhagavad Gita, you can't progress in this life or in the next. For someone that doesn't have faith, that's Krishna's words. Krishna says they will not achieve any happiness or perfection in this life or in the next. So we should hear from Krishna or Krishna's representative, the spiritual master, and then to hear it, if we're not sure about anything, if we do have doubts, we ask questions. Excuse me, Guru Maharaj, I'm not sure what this means. Can you please explain? So sure, you're not going to understand everything. So you ask some questions, and once you've got the answers and your doubts are removed, then don't keep doubting. And then you should, fully get into it. So, isn't it? I mean, like Bob with the exercises, do you do it half-heartedly or full-heartedly?
Or considering my age, the best I can.
Yeah, you do the best.
I was there this morning.
Yeah, so you do
and thinking about Krishna at the same time.
Yeah. So Bob's doing the best he can in his field, and when Bhakti Mala, when you make a cake, do you do it half-heartedly or full-heartedly?
The best I can.
Best you can. Gulshan at the front desk.
110%.
110, but that's who we like to hear.
Not 100, 110.
Deeper and looking after the family, you do it half-heartedly or full-heartedly?
I do it as best I can, really. There are moments.
Yeah, so that's the point. That best you can means with your full heart, full energy, full enthusiasm. Whatever you have, you give that. So the same with Krishna consciousness. You put your all you've got into it. You're the best of your body, the best of your mind, the best your intelligence goes, how far it goes, everything, your money, whatever you have, you put it in. Whatever you've got, put it in there. Don't just be reserved. don't, hold back some, in a reserve like that. And because if you're not, if you're not fully enthusiastic and convinced, it's going to be slow going. Then, like Gulshan said, can you really go back in this life? Yeah, then probably not. Probably not. If you're not fully convinced and, applying yourself, with full faith, then, probably not going to progress very much. But if you have full faith, like I'll tell you this is one thing Prabhupada said at the end of one lecture. He said, I guarantee if you chant 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and if you follow the four regulated principles, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, I guarantee at the end of this lifetime, you will go back home, back to Godhead. And that was the end of the lecture. One man, a guest, he came into the temple at the end of the lecture. That's all he heard. That's all he heard was that. Then they all had prasad and everyone left, right? Many years later, devotees were going door to door distributing books and that. They met this man, and he had never met devotees after that. That was the only time. He just heard Prabhupada himself say that. And many years had passed. Guess what he was doing?
Chanting, eating prasadam.
He was chanting 16 rounds every day, and he was following the four regulated principles because he had faith that what Prabhupada said was the truth, and that if he did those things, that he'll go back to Godhead. So just hearing that, and you're like 2 minutes hearing from a pure devotee, and his mind was just fixed. He had just full faith, in those words, and that's what he was going to do. And, I'm sure he'll get it. He'll go back to Godhead because he had full faith in what Prabhupada said. But if you think, oh, nah, I'm not so sure, what is this? Chanting is too easy. You can't go back to Godhead just by chanting. Oh, I'm too attached to eating meat and stuff. I'm not going to do that. Then, yeah, sure, you're not going to go back to Godhead. And there's one story about in the Vedas that what is it? Narada Muni. One intelligent Brahmana met Narada Muni, and yes, and it's taken me a bit to remember because it's different than the way I'd heard it before. So this was actually the proper way he said it. That the Brahmin asked him, when you, Narada Muni, you are so dear to the Lord. When you see the Lord, can you please ask him how long till I'll be liberated? And how long will it take for me to be liberated? How many lives? Narada said, yeah, sure. And then he met one cobbler, which is very low class. It means they're a meat eater. Because they deal with shoes and stuff, which has got leather, and leather comes from cows. And so generally because they're dealing with cow skin and so forth, they eat the flesh of cows and stuff. So they're generally meat eaters and stuff. So they're called like chandalas. They're called chandalas, very low class. But he said, oh, Narada, you're very dear to the Lord. You'll be going to see the Lord. When you see him, can you ask him, how long till I get liberated? Narada said, sure. So he went to Vaikuntha and saw Lord Narayan. And then he's a devotee, so, he had promised that he was going to ask on their behalf. So he kept his word. He's truthful. And he said, oh, such and such, this Brahmana, he said, to ask you how long till he gets liberated. And Lord Narayan said, oh, it will take him many lives.
Oh.
And such cobbler, how long till he gets liberated? Oh, he said, he will be liberated in the end of this life.
Oh.
And Narada said, what? The Brahmana will take many lives and the cobbler this life? Why? He said, you ask them. You tell them that what I'm doing, that when you saw me, what I was doing was putting one elephant through the eye of a needle. So Narada said, okay, I'll tell them that. So he went to the Brahmana, came back. Oh, did you see? Oh, the Brahmana said, oh, Narayan, gee, did you see my Lord? Did you see Lord Narayan? Yes, yes. What was he doing? Oh, he was putting an elephant through the eye of a needle. Oh, come on. That's just ridiculous. No, I don't believe in that. And then he went to the cobbler. Oh, Naradaji, you must have seen my Lord Narayan. What was he doing? Oh, he was putting an elephant through the eye of a needle. Ah, just see how wonderful is my Lord.
Oh.
Narada said, how you can believe in that? And he said, I am seeing so many of the inconceivable potencies of the Lord around me every day, just like I'm sitting underneath this banyan tree. And this huge banyan tree has millions of tiny seeds, like this big, tiny seeds. And inside each seed is the tree. The tree is inside the seed. Not only the tree is inside the seed, but each tree has millions of seeds, right? Each tree, just think about this. Each tree has thousands of seeds, millions of seed. So all of that is inside the seed. So the tree is inside the seed, and all that information for all those thousands or millions of seeds is inside the seed. So he said, I see around me every day so many inconceivable things, and this is just the energies of the Lord. What to speak of the Lord himself? If the Lord's energies are so amazing, then what to speak of what the Lord himself, what he can do? So he said, yeah, I can understand that completely. I can accept that completely. So then Narada understood, yeah, the Brahmana, he had no faith in the Lord. And the cobbler had so much faith in the Lord.
And the cobbler was seeing Narayana in his whole activity. Every activity he's seen in Narayana. Anything he do, he's looking Narayana. That's why.
Yeah, well,
Brahmana maybe do 6 to 8 in the morning and that's it. But cobbler, every act he can see Narayana in there.
yeah, so it doesn't really matter so much what your activities are, but like the Brahmana's activities are very nice, studying scriptures and stuff, and the cobbler's activities are not very nice. But the main thing is you should have faith in the Lord. That's the main thing. You should believe, firmly believe in God, in Krishna, and the representative and the spiritual master, whatever they say. You should accept that as a fact. However, you might not be able to follow everything that the Lord tells you to do, but that doesn't mean you don't believe in it. That just means you have a weakness, that you're not able to follow everything he says for you to do. But you still believe in it. However, so it's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if you can't follow every single rule, every single thing, that's acceptable. That doesn't disqualify you. That you can't follow his instructions, all of them. But what does disqualify you is if you don't have faith in him as a person, as the supreme person, and as your authority. Then you're disqualified. Then that's called faithless. Then you're called a faithless person, which in Sanskrit's called a pasandi, an atheist. You know, that you don't believe in God, and you don't believe in his words, and you don't follow his words. But however, we might have some weakness, and we're not able to follow everything fully what he says. But that's still okay. That person can still progress. But if you don't even have faith in him and his words, then there's no way to progress. So that's what this verse is saying. You do your practices step by step, and then have full conviction. Full conviction. And one should be situated in trance by means of intelligence, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. So we've talked about this a bit before in the previous verses, because that's what it's talking about, trance. So yeah, just fixing the mind. Now, how do we do that? How do we actually fix the mind? Actually, one thing that really inspired Prabhupada was one of the previous gurus named Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said this one-pointed mind, one-pointed intelligence for us as a devotee is our mind on the instructions of the spiritual master. That's our one-pointed mind, one-pointed intelligence for us, if you want to relate that to us. You know, like when Prabhupada said that, you know, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles, and I guarantee you'll go back home back to Godhead. For us, that's our trance. You understand?
Yep.
That's our trance. That's our samadhi. Samadhi or means like trance, means fixing your mind on one thing. So that's, for us, that's samadhi. That you just, whether you're cleaning, painting, cooking, exercising, whatever like that, then that's you're focused on that. Your mind, your intelligence is focused on that I have to chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 regulated principles, and Prabhupada's saying that I'm going to go back home back to Godhead. You know, so for us that's trance. And of course there's other words of the spiritual master, but you have to take those words of the spiritual master. Like I tell you what, when Prabhupada's guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, first met Prabhupada in 1922, he said to Prabhupada, "You are an intelligent young man. Why don't you go to the Western countries and spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? This will do good for you and do good for everyone." So those words, you know, went into Prabhupada's heart, and Prabhupada never forgot that. So even though Prabhupada didn't actually leave India until 1965, so calculate that, 1922, 1965, that's 23 years. But that was always in his mind. You know, I have to go to the West. I have to go to the West. I have to spread Krishna consciousness to the English people in the English language like that. I have to preach in English like that. And Prabhupada did it, but he was always thinking about it. And that was his samadhi. That was his trance. It's what his guru had told him. So that's very important for us. That's very important for us. And, you know, like for this Astanga yogi, they have to fix the mind on the super soul. But that's quite difficult. That's quite difficult.
Who has to do that? Sorry, who'd you say does that?
In this chapter, the Jnana Yogi, which is Astanga Yoga, their samadhi, their trance is to fix the mind on the super soul, on Paramatma, but that in the heart. But that's not so easy, and it's a very complicated process to get to that point. That's the 8th part of the process, not the first part. You know, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So that's the final stage, is to meditate on the super soul. But it's a difficult process, those 8 stages. That's difficult. But for us, I mean, I think it's very good for us in Kali Yuga that we just have to hear from the spiritual master and fix our mind on his words and try our best, the best we can, to carry out those things. And like it's saying in this, and should think of nothing else. So you should have full faith in the spiritual master's words and Krishna's words, and don't think about anything else. Of course, you have to do many other things. You have to do your family duties and your bodily duties and that. But behind the scenes, you're thinking. You're always thinking about what your guru has said. You're always thinking about Krishna and what your guru has said and everything like that. So that's the motivating thing behind everything you're doing, and behind the scenes that's going on. Those thoughts about Krishna and the spiritual master's words. Okay, we're about the end of our time, but it's only a short purport. So, who's ready to read it? Whoever's got the purport there.
By proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually ease sense activities. This is called pratyahara. The mind being controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation from senses should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there's no longer any danger of becoming engaged in the material conception of the life. In other words, although one is involved with the matter as long as material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. One should think of no pleasure aside from pleasure of the Supreme Self. The state is easily attained by directly practicing Krishna consciousness.
So Prabhupada's saying this verse is indicating the pratyahara stage, which is basically withdrawing the senses from the sense objects, which is that interaction between our senses and the sense object. That's called sense gratification. Like, for example, one of my senses is the eyes, and what's the object for the eyes? Then that's called indriya. The sense is called indriya, so the eyes are indriya, sense, and the object is called vishaya. Vishaya is the object for the indriya. So you have your indriya, your sense, and the object is called the vishaya. So what's the vishaya for the eyes?
Form.
Yeah, form. Very good. Bob, you are really on fire today. It's all in there. You know, he's giving credit to Krishna and Prabhupada. That's the way it is. So form. So pratyahara means your eyes are not looking at that form anymore, that rupa, which is in Sanskrit, rupa. You're not looking at that rupa anymore, that form. So, like in this Ashtanga yoga process, they half close their eyes so that they're not going to see it. It means they don't fully close their eyes, because if you fully close your eyes, what will happen?
Go to sleep.
Go to sleep. So if you half close your eyes, but you can't see very much because they're just looking at the tip of their nose, the Ashtanga yogi. So in that way, they're not looking at the beautiful woman that just walked past or whatever like that. So they're withdrawn their senses from the sense object. For us, do we have our eyes half closed? Probably not while we're working in the bhakti tree. Do you have your eyes half closed while you're in the bhakti tree? Ulsha?
No,
Well,
has to be open. What are you
and
talking
while
about?
you're making the cake, I don't think you'll be doing.
Especially like, you know, sometimes people, they eat and walk away without paying. I have to open my eyes all the time.
And is Deepa looking after the family and doing accounting with eyes half closed? Probably not. And Bob, while he's standing on his head, probably not. So, but what we do is we are also withdrawing from the senses, from the sense objects, by being detached from enjoying those objects. Because now, instead of seeing that, oh, this is for my enjoyment, we're seeing this is Krishna's energy, this is Krishna's property, let me use it in Krishna's service. This money is Krishna's money, it's not my money, let me use it for Krishna. This food is Krishna's food, it's not my food, let me offer it to Krishna. This beautiful woman is not for my enjoyment, she's, you know, Krishna's gopi, Krishna's Lakshmi, Krishna's goddess. Let me bring her to Krishna. Let me engage her in Krishna's service. So I'll tell you what, one thing that was very interesting, Prabhupada, I'll just finish off. Prabhupada, one time in Juhu in India, in Bombay, he called in 2 young brahmacharis into the room. One was my guru, Guru Swami, just a brahmachari at the time. And he said, sit down. And then he just said this, okay, well, what is he getting us to sit down for? He said something very profound. He said, whenever you see a woman, okay, whenever you see a woman, you can think one of either 2 ways. You can think, let me exploit her for my sense gratification. Or you can think, Krishna has sent her. Let me bring her to Krishna. Let me use her in Krishna's, engage her. Let me engage her in Krishna's service. So that's the thing, right? So if we take the second option, that's pratyahara for us. That's withdrawing from sense gratification, because there's no sense gratification anymore. Do you see that? If you everything you do is for Krishna's service, not for yourself, you have withdrawn from sense gratification. You have withdrawn. You understand that? Like Prabhupada said one time, my motto has always been everything for Krishna, nothing for me. That's pratyahara. You know, you've withdrawn. There's no more sense gratification. It doesn't mean you can't see anything or you can't hear anything. No, you have to, you know, close up the senses. But the effect is there, that you're not doing anything for the enjoyment of your senses anymore. Everything, you're using your senses for Krishna's enjoyment. So that for us is pratyahara. Does that make sense? Now, like I'm saying, I might not be at a level where I can follow that. I'm not able to do that, to not look lustily at a woman or not think about enjoying the food or anything like that. But I believe in what Krishna's saying. I accept that. I want to be there, but I'm not there yet. Now, that's okay. But if you just completely write off that and say, oh, this is a load of rubbish, I don't want to do that, I like enjoying everything for myself, and, I'm not going to do everything for Krishna. Who wants to do everything for Krishna? If you like that mentality, then you're not going to get anywhere. But if you say, oh, wow, that's what a wonderful standard, I wish I can do that. I hope I can do that. I can't do it yet, but I'm really disgusted with where I'm at right now, but I want to get there. But that's progressive, and you will progress. Do you understand? Does that make sense?
Yep, very much.
Yeah, so our pratyahara is not closing down everything from the external world, but just trying to connect everything with Krishna and doing things for Krishna's sake, for Krishna's enjoyment, Krishna's pleasure, and not for ourselves. And slowly that's our practice step by step as we're learning to do that. And some days we might be able to do 50% for Krishna and 50% for me, or 80% for Krishna and 20% for me, or 20% for Krishna and 80% for me. you know, so that's our practice. We're trying like that. But I mean, we're getting somewhere, because I mean, I can tell you it used to be 100% for me and nothing for Krishna before I joined, you know, so now at least something is there, isn't it? So we are making progress step by step.
So, Abhay Prabhu, can I just ask a quick question? For
Yeah.
instance, when I come back from work, I mean, today I have a day off, but I just like maybe take an hour or so just to watch some TV, just to unwind, and then I might do, you know, sort of be able to do some chanting later before I go to bed. I always feel guilty about spending that hour or so in front of the TV, and I think this is not right. But what I mean, what do you say though? I mean, it's just to unwind and relax a little bit before I, yeah. That's kind of.
Yeah, a lot of our day-to-day life is there's a lot of passionate things we have to do and ignorant things we have to do, just to go through our daily duties. So sometimes, you know, that's just the reality, the way it works. You know, just imagining even like Arjuna and that, you know, he has to do some pretty horrible things, you know, fighting and killing people and stuff like that. Even me, you know, I was thinking about what I have to do. Gardening, I every day I'm basically killing so many plants and killing bugs and killing even small animals and like that, try to protect the garden. I have to kill so many things. So yeah, it's a lot of passion, a lot of ignorance there. So yeah, so that may be there, but the real thing is what you said at the end, that before you go to bed, you chant Hare Krishna. So whatever works, whatever brings you, whatever can help you get to the point where you can chant Hare Krishna. If you watched 1 hour of TV and then that screwed up your head so much that you couldn't chant, then I would say, oh my God,
Good.
you have to change that habit, because of that you're not able to chant. But basically whatever it takes to get you to chant. You know, if you have to stand on your head to chant, or if you have to watch TV to chant, or somehow or other, if you have to run 10 miles around the block, you know, to get you to chant, whatever makes you chant, you know, whatever works. If you don't chant, basically your whole time is a complete waste of time, you know. But if you do chant, then there's some value in the rest of your existence, basically. But maybe, and then as you chant more, what's going to happen is saying, well, that 1 hour I'm watching TV, I could chant more. I could chant that out too, you know. So, but let that happen. That evolution will take place. That, like I said, you know, when you chant, Krishna's going to clean your heart. And when Krishna cleans your heart, he's going to take away the ignorance, going to enlighten you. And he's going to start telling you things in your heart. Do you really want to spend that time? Is it really very important stuff there? Doesn't it disturb you watching all those crazy people, you know, like that? So slowly Krishna will enlighten you and thinking, oh, this is just pretty useless. I don't want to do this anymore. But let yourself work that out, and yourself will work that out where Krishna's helping you in your heart. But yeah, somehow or other, chant. And the mind's crazy like that in the beginning. I'm not going to chant unless you let me watch TV for 1 hour. I'm not going to chant. So that's the mind, you know, the mind is pretty crazy, you know, so the mind does things like that. Give me this carrot and then I'll chant, you know, we're like a donkey on the...
Thank you, Abhay Prabhu. Thanks so much. Nice to see everyone. I've got to go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
No.
Hey, ball.
Yeah, thank you, Deepa. Nice question.
Oh.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, Bob. Thanks for being with us again.
Abhay Prabhu, thank you.
Pleasure. Was that okay? Was that helpful?
Yeah. No, it's very heartening because it's somehow a little bit like a bit forgiving and flexible. So it's good. It's good. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if you raise the, what do you call it? Raise the hurdle too high, and everyone has to perform on this like 100% perfect platform where there's 0 sense gratification and 100% for Krishna and everything like that, then basically you cut out 99.9% of the people from even attempting it. But we don't want to do that. But we just want to, encourage a little bit of Krishna consciousness there and the person's life, and let it just naturally evolve, let it slowly grow. And what will happen, it'll be in the beginning it's more sense gratification and very less for Krishna, but slowly it'll be more for Krishna, less sense gratification, more for Krishna, and then like that, so, but you can't force everyone to come up to 100% for Krishna, and just let them work it out. But we just try to encourage, like Prabhupada always encouraged people. Just try to chant Hare Krishna, take some prasadam, and let it go. Because Krishna is all attractive, right? So naturally, as long as you're exposed to Krishna, that somehow, then naturally you're going to become attracted to Krishna more. And obviously, the more we become attracted to Krishna, then the less attracted we are to Maya. It's not that you have to force us to give up Maya. What we just want to encourage people to get attracted to Krishna, and then automatically we'll let go of Maya. It's not that Prabhupada said one time, it's not that Maya's holding on to us, we're holding on to Maya. So we just have to let go, but we're so holding on to Maya, but the main thing is we naturally get more attracted to Krishna, then automatically we just let go. You don't have to rip people's hands off, because that's not very progressive. Try to force, like that. So, and it has to be voluntary, because we want to get to the point of loving Krishna. You can't love Krishna if you're forced to love Krishna. Okay, no more TV, no more this and that. You can't do this, no more money, no more this sex, no more looking at anything, or you can't force love. It has to be voluntary.
Okay, I better let you go. It must be past dinner time even.
No, Jayanti will be feeding the hungry masses. There's just doing some prasadam distribution today.
Oh, okay.
We have to do some catering, for 25 people. So we just in one place in a little town. Doing that. So I'll see what's left to do.
Okay. Gail was asking, how are you?
Oh, that's nice.
How are you both doing? And yeah. So.
And how is she doing?
Oh, she's good. She's good.
She's still going to Tari?
She has been doing it over the phone and things like that. Not sure if she's actually driving there yet.
So that would limited her work a lot with the lockdowns and everything, yeah.
She hasn't been able to go up there, but she's been doing her phone consultations. So she's still attending to her clients there, but over the phone and things like that, yeah.
Okay, and she's well and everything like that, and
yeah, as far as I'm aware.
That's good.
Yes, she's not well. Last week was Govardhan Puja last weekend.
Yep.
And yeah, she couldn't come because she's not vaccinated. And they need everyone to be fully vaccinated to be at the temple.
Really? I heard it wasn't like that, really.
Or I think for because we have to show the vaccination certificate and to check in and things like that. I think for maybe it's only for big festivities where a lot of people are going to be there. Maybe, yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Only the big ones. Okay.
Uh,
Okay. I hope it's only like that, not for every case. Okay. Anyway, I'm glad to hear about her, that she's doing all right.
Yeah, she's well. Yeah, we drove up. What was that? We drove up for something the week before or a couple of weeks before. We went to the temple.
Oh, nice.
I drove, yeah, and so that was nice. But yeah, she couldn't come for the Govardhan Puja because she's not vaccinated.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
Mm.
Yeah, please offer my regards to
Yes,
her next time you see her.
Yeah, and she was asking what's Jayanti doing, as in, is she working or what does she do to keep herself occupied?
Mainly it's cooking and cleaning.
Okay.
And admin stuff. Admin and cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. Yeah. And walking the dog. Walking the dog.
But it's your own admin stuff. It's not that she's working for anyone.
No.
Yeah, no, that's plenty already.
Like today, she cooked the rice and sabji for this catering. I made the halava. So every now and again we do a bit of catering. We do harinam, sometimes some prasad distribution.
Yeah, sounds nice.
But
Yeah.
mostly it's home-based stuff. Our work is all at home.
Yeah, but there's so much more to do at home, I reckon. Then going out to work is easier.
Yeah. I mean, the way we're sort of living is more like what it was like before the Industrial Revolution kicked in a couple hundred years ago, when the man would be out in the field, growing the stuff, and the wife would be doing all the household stuff, and so we're living sort of back at that time, more like that, yeah. So,
But it's more wholesome living, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, I like it. I think she likes certain aspects of it, and yeah, just do the needful.
Aspects. No, tell her it's like arranged marriage. She'll grow to love it.